Every life changes in a single moment. Sometimes it happens with a phone call, sometimes with a goodbye, and sometimes with a smile that no one expects. When widowed single father Michael Carter quietly whispered, "Careful. People might think we're together," to billionaire CEO Rebecca Collins. He believed he was protecting both of them from gossip. He never imagined those few words would become the beginning of the greatest miracle of his life. Before we begin, if you believe kindness still matters, that second chances can change lives, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us continue bringing inspiring stories that remind the world compassion still exists. Michael had never expected to attend one of the wealthiest charity galas in Chicago. He certainly didn't belong there. His suit had been borrowed from his pastor. His shoes were polished so many times. They almost looked new. And every dollar he had saved during the past 6 months had gone toward hiring a trusted babysitter for his 8-year-old daughter, Grace. Most guests drove luxury cars worth more than Michael's tiny rented apartment. Michael arrived on a city bus. For 5 years, life had tested him in every possible way. His wife Sarah had passed away after a sudden illness, leaving him to raise Grace alone. Overnight he had become both mother and father, trying to comfort a little girl while secretly wondering how he would survive another month. He worked maintenance at Collins Technologies, cleaning offices long after executives had gone home. Few employees even knew his name. Yet every morning Michael smiled. He smiled because Grace deserved a father who still believed tomorrow could be better. Grace often told him he was her superhero. Michael never corrected her. He simply hoped she would never discover that superheroes sometimes cried inside parked cars before driving home. The charity gala had happened by accident. Weeks earlier, Michael had repaired the wheelchair lift outside company headquarters during a freezing snowstorm. After every contractor had refused the emergency call, he hadn't known the woman trapped inside the building was none other than Rebecca Collins herself. The CEO had thanked him personally. Michael thought nothing more of it, until an elegant invitation arrived. Everyone at the gala recognized Rebecca. Few noticed Michael. That was perfectly fine with him. He preferred standing near the balcony, quietly watching the lights reflect across Lake Michigan. He missed Sarah during moments like these. She had loved city lights. She used to tell him every light represented someone's dream. As Michael stood alone, he heard footsteps behind him. Rebecca Collins joined him without bodyguards or assistants. She carried herself with confidence but looked surprisingly tired. Being one of America's youngest female CEOs came with constant pressure, endless meetings, impossible expectations, and very little peace. For a few moments they simply admired the skyline in silence. Then Rebecca asked about Grace. Michael blinked in surprise. Out of thousands of employees, she remembered his daughter's name. He smiled softly, while telling stories about Grace's obsession with dinosaurs, pancakes, and bedtime adventures. Rebecca laughed more during those 10 minutes than she had all week. Inside the ballroom, cameras flashed. Several guests noticed them talking. Whispers quickly spread through the room. Michael shifted uncomfortably. He leaned closer and quietly said, "Careful. People might think we're together." Rebecca looked directly into his eyes. Instead of stepping away, she smiled. Then came the words that completely changed the evening. "Would that be so bad?" Michael froze. Not because of romance. Because no one had looked at him that way since Sarah died. Not with pity, not with sympathy. With genuine curiosity. For the first time in years, someone saw Michael instead of his struggles. Neither of them noticed the photographers capturing the moment. By sunrise, social media was filled with headlines, suggesting America's most admired CEO had spent the evening with an unknown man. The internet began inventing stories. Some claimed he was secretly wealthy. Others assumed he was a famous investor. A few mocked his ordinary appearance. Michael woke the next morning completely unaware. He was making dinosaur-shaped pancakes. While Grace giggled at the kitchen table, his phone wouldn't stop vibrating. Coworkers, neighbors, even distant relatives he hadn't heard from in years. Everyone wanted answers. Michael had none. When he arrived at work, conversation stopped as he walked through the hallway. People stared. Some smiled. Others whispered. He kept his head down and started replacing broken ceiling lights like any ordinary day. Hours later, Rebecca appeared unexpectedly in the maintenance department, not with reporters, not with executives alone. She thanked Michael again for attending the gala and asked if he would join her for coffee after work. The entire department watched in stunned silence. Michael politely agreed, though his stomach filled with anxiety. Coffee became conversation. Conversation became friendship. Rebecca discovered Michael wasn't impressed by money. He spoke more proudly about Grace's spelling test than any business achievement. She found that refreshing. Meanwhile, Michael slowly realized Rebecca carried invisible scars of her own. Her parents had built Collins Technologies from a small garage business. After they passed away within 2 years of each other, Rebecca inherited not only the company but also impossible expectations. Every decision she made was criticized. Every relationship she formed was questioned. People admired her success but rarely cared about the woman behind it. Michael never asked about quarterly profits. Instead, he asked whether she had eaten lunch, whether she slept enough, whether she ever took weekends off. Simple questions. Questions no one else seemed to ask. Weeks passed. Rebecca occasionally visited the neighborhood where Michael lived, not because it was glamorous, because Grace insisted the local ice cream shop made the happiest chocolate cones in America. Watching Rebecca laugh while chocolate ice cream covered the tip of her nose became one of Michael's favorite memories. Grace adored her. Children could sense sincerity faster than adults. One rainy Saturday, Grace quietly handed Rebecca a crayon drawing. It showed 3 people holding hands beneath a bright rainbow. Michael looked away, embarrassed. Grace innocently smiled. "I know Mommy lives in heaven," she whispered, "but everybody needs someone to hold their hand." Neither adult found words. Rebecca carefully folded the drawing and placed it inside her purse. She would keep it there for years, but happiness rarely arrives without resistance. Soon, tabloids accused Rebecca of ruining her reputation by spending time with a maintenance worker. Investors questioned her judgment. Board members suggested she distance herself immediately. Some even demanded she release a public statement, denying any personal relationship. Rebecca refused. For the first time in her corporate career, she chose her heart over public opinion. Michael felt guilty. He worried his ordinary life was damaging everything Rebecca had built. One evening, standing outside her office building beneath falling autumn leaves, he quietly suggested they stop seeing each other. He couldn't allow Grace to become responsible for someone else's sacrifices. Rebecca listened patiently. Then she reminded him of something Grace had once said. "The richest people," Grace had declared while eating pancakes, "are the ones who always have someone waiting for them at home." Rebecca admitted. No mansion had ever given her that feeling. Michael finally understood. She wasn't searching for someone successful. She was searching for somewhere she belonged. Months later, the Collins Technologies annual family picnic arrived. Employees brought spouses, children, grandparents, and friends. Michael almost stayed home. He feared becoming another source of gossip. Rebecca personally invited him anyway. As families gathered across the park, Grace ran laughing through the grass while holding both Michael's hand and Rebecca's. Hundreds of employees watched. This time, nobody whispered. Many smiled. Some even applauded quietly. Because they finally understood what mattered wasn't status. It was love, kindness, and the courage to embrace happiness, despite the opinions of strangers. If this story has touched your heart so far, please like this video, share it with someone who believes in second chances, subscribe to the channel, and let us know your thoughts in the comments. Special request, before the story ends. Tell us in the comments, do you believe true love cares about status, or only about character? Months later, beneath a peaceful Chicago sunset, Michael looked at Rebecca and Grace laughing together by the lake. He realized life had never promised an easy road. It had simply asked him to keep walking with kindness. And sometimes, after enough heartbreak, God quietly places the right person beside you. Not to replace the past, but to help you believe in the future again. The end.